I think you all know me from the good old days, when I was just a member of Congress. Remember those days? Well, now I have ascended to the role of your party chairman, and I really am complimented by that choice by the party, and I intend to serve as best I can. But today I have a great pleasure, great pleasure, to be part of the introduction of our candidate for Congress, Charles Djou. I've got to share with you my personal passion, because you know, I served you as your congressman in the United States Congress for many years. And since then, things have deteriorated somewhat. And so we sort of let Ms. Hanabusa sit there temporarily. But now we're going to take that seat back. Yay! And when I say it's a special passion, it's because I consider that to be my seat. I can help choose the person who's going to take my seat. And the most qualified, the most intelligent, the most dedicated person I can think of, the only person I can think of to take that seat is Charles Djou. Now, I have served with Charles as his campaign chairman for many years. We didn't make it then, but we're going to make it this time. Yes. Because I'm party chair. No, sincerely, it'll be because Charles will run an effective campaign and because he certainly deserves the seat. Now, let me share with you something. This wind is blowing in my back. How's this? Better? There are many reasons why we should elect Charles Djou. Many reasons. Good reasons. But one of the more important reasons is that this year, this election year, a critical year, we're going to find the United States Congress, the House of Representatives, still in the hands of Republicans. Because we have a majority of Republicans, and will remain that way in the United States House. But we have a tremendous opportunity to become the majority in the Senate. We only have to win 6 seats to gain the majority of the United States Senate. And it can't be done this year. So, I say to you, how foolish can we be in Hawaii not to send a Republican to the United States House of Representatives and be part of the majority? Because the vote in a majority party is much heavier in weight than it is in the minority party. So if Charles makes it to the House, and which he will, then he'll be part of the majority party of both houses of Congress. Then maybe we can change things. Maybe we can move ahead. We can develop a national security program that makes sense. We can be part of the revamping of our healthcare system that makes sense instead of what we have. But I don't want to get into all the issues and all the reasons why we should elect a Republican, because Charles Djou is the person we have to elect as a person. So it means that you have to go out and get the voters registered, be sure that they get to the polls, be sure they vote. And let me tell you, ladies, I don't have to say gentlemen, there are a few of them here, but anyway, ladies, I want you as the Oahu League to put all your efforts in supporting our Republican candidates to office, no matter at what level, but especially to get Charles elected and re-elected. Actually, he served there once. Re-elected to my seat. Thank you. You all know Barbara Maramoto, don't you? Give her a big hand. Barbara Maramoto has served our state for many, many years in the House of Representatives. Now she is going to serve this time as the campaign manager for Charles Djou. So you see, give me a big hand.
Very successful in politics, 34 years in the House, because my role model was Pat Psyche, of course. I ran for her seat, her district, when she moved up to the state senate, then on to Congress, and then the Small Business Administration. So I am so proud of you, and now that you're party chairman, we're all behind you 100%. It is my duty and honor and privilege today to introduce to you our main speaker, our candidate for Congress, a man that we all know, Charles Djou. And I want to tell you a little bit why you should vote for this wonderful person. I think of all the candidates, he's probably the best educated. He went to Honolulu, of course, yeah, and then he went to University of Pennsylvania, Wharton School of Business. Then he went to UCLA Law School. So, you know, very, very smart man. Most qualified. Oh my gosh, you know, and he's been an attorney in private practice, so he knows that. And he's served in the military also, and he's a major in the U.S. Reserve, and he went to Afghanistan, so that we certainly give him appreciation. So, you know, I think he's the most patriotic candidate we have for Congress. He is a dedicated public servant. We are very lucky to have somebody who will dedicate his life to public service. He served in the State House. Then he served on the Oahu City and County Council. And he served in Congress for when he won a special election. So we really got to get him back there. He is what I consider the front runner of all the candidates. He has the highest name ID of all the candidates running for Congress. And he has the highest favorability rating. So, you know, everybody likes him. He's really a terrific guy. So, and we're so glad to have him here today. So without further ado, I want to bring forth Charles Djou.
Good afternoon, everybody, and aloha. Let me start by saying thank you very, very much to also my mentor and role model, former Congressman Pat Psyche, for all of your leadership, and thank you for your coming leadership of the Hawaii Republican Party. You've all just heard from my campaign manager, former state representative Barbara Maramoto. Barbara has served longer than any other woman, longer than any other Republican in the state legislature in the history of our state. And I am incredibly honored to have her as my campaign manager. And of course, I also want to thank Carol Thomas and the Oahu League for helping put all of this together for today. Before I begin my remarks, I also want to introduce to you another very, very important woman in my life. And this is my best friend, my closest counselor, the love of my life. And if you haven't met her, please introduce yourself to her. That's my wife, Stacy. Now, friends, I want to share with you in the few moments that I have the big announcement. I thought I've been a little bit spoiled so far, but I'm here today to officially tell all of you that I am running for Hawaii's first congressional district. and extraordinarily excited that all of you could be here to join me today in this announcement. I want to share with all of you first how exactly I arrived at this decision and why I am running for office. Next, I want to share with you what we're going to do if we're privileged enough to win this seat, and finally how we're going to win this election. But I want to start with sharing with all of you as to why it is that I am running. To be honest, this is not a seat that I initially was looking at. And running for office again in 2014 was not at the top of my priority list. Especially over the last few years, my priorities have been being a good dad, being a good husband, being a soldier, and just pursuing my law practice. Politics was not top of mind for me. I know for many of the other candidates who are running, they've been running for months or indeed even years. This hasn't been what's been for me the priority of my life. What has transpired, of course, though, is about a little over a year ago, we had the passing of Senator Daniel Inouye, a long-time icon who I respect leading our state. The passage of Senator Inouye has created an open seat again for Hawaii's 1st Congressional District, as my former opponent, Honolulu, decided to run for the Senate. But that in and of itself didn't get me to run for this seat. Just the fact that there's an opening in this congressional office. Instead, I have been patiently waiting to see if somebody else would pick up the mantle and run for this office. And nobody has. But what really struck me, what really pushed me to get out there and make this decision to run, was an incident that occurred this past October. This past October, 4 American service members died in the service of our nation. They died just outside of Forward Operating Base Kahala, in middle of nowhere, Kandahar province. They lived in a mud hole in tents. They died when their vehicle they were driving in rode over an IED, the Improvised Explosive Device, a landmine, killing all 4 of these soldiers. Now I know that losing service members in the line of duty in the service of our nation is unfortunately something that happens all too frequently in our nation here today. But this particular incident that occurred in October was something that affected me personally. You see, when I did my tour of duty in Afghanistan, I served at Forward Operating Base Kahala. I lived in the same tents that those soldiers lived in. And I drove over the same road that those soldiers drove over and lost their lives on. Well, what helped me understand why we need change in our government was that these 4 soldiers, initially, after they gave their lives in the service of our nation, their bodies were not brought home. Their families were not given their death benefits. They were not given the customary military funeral that we accord fallen warriors on behalf of the United States. Why? Because those 4 soldiers just happened to have died during the middle of the government shutdown. But for the grace of God, I realized that very easily could have been me. And it could have been my family that could have been put through that. And I think this is exactly what is wrong with our government today. What we see going on in Washington, D.C. is increasingly a dysfunctional government. A government that is more interested in partisan point scoring than in taking care of the basic needs and basic interests of the people. And at all levels of governments here in Hawaii, whether it's at Honolulu or the state capitol or our nation's capital, things have gone from bad to worse. I decided to step up because we need to change that. We must not accept the status quo of what is going on in our governments today at all levels. And I'm running for this office because I believe that we as Americans, as residents here in Hawaii, can, should, deserve better. Now, I also want to share with you, in addition to why I'm running for office, is what we're going to do if we're privileged enough to win this seat. What am I going to focus in on? For me, it's pretty simple. My top 3 priorities if I am privileged to earn the support of the people of Hawaii and recapture the seat in the Congress. My top priorities are going to be jobs, jobs, and jobs. For too many people who want to find jobs, they're too hard to find. For too many individuals, especially here in Hawaii, with the highest underemployment rate in our nation, that they can find jobs, but only part-time jobs, and are unable to find full-time work. And for those who are fortunate to find full-time work, again, especially in Hawaii, they are caught between the twin scissor blades of an ever-increasingly high cost of living here in Hawaii, coupled with increasing taxes and increasing regulation that makes it very difficult for local people to survive and get by here in our community. If I'm privileged to earn the support of the people, that will be my focus. Not scoring political points, not continuing this dysfunctionality that goes on in Honolulu, Hawaii, and the state legislature, and our nation's capital. For me, it will always be about placing people before partisan sniping, making sure that we prioritize service before self. That's what my candidacy is all about. But friends, we also got to make sure we win. So I also want to make sure that I communicate to all of you that we're going to win this race. We're going to win this campaign this fall. When we can do it, we will do it. There's a lot of things that are working in our favor in this upcoming election this fall. First of all, is the Democratic primary is extraordinarily bitter and divisive. You have 7 Democrats, each of whom arguably could win this race. They are going to have an all-out fight in the primary here. And when they're done with that primary, we're going to be rested and ready for them. I think other differences all of you should be aware of here, as Barbara pointed out. We start this race with an enormous amount of advantages. We have the highest level of name recognition, the highest favorability ratings of any of the candidates. The newspaper took a poll back in February showing that I'm leading ahead of all of the other candidates in this race. And the interesting thing about this poll is we were in the lead, and I hadn't even announced. I hadn't done anything. But I know that how you start at the starting line is not necessarily how you end up at the finish line. So we're also going to win this race because of all of you. It's going to take the hard work of individual local residents who believe in change, who believe that we deserve better than the status quo we have here today. And that's why I and my wife and my family are so extraordinarily grateful to each and every one of you for taking the time to come out here this afternoon on a beautiful Hawaiian day to listen to me. Thankful to each and every one of you for showing the commitment that you care about our government, that you care that America, that Hawaii shouldn't continue along this dysfunctional course that we're seeing. But I also want to ask each and every one of you here today, this is the start, not the ending. We have 7 months to pull together an effective campaign that can win. While I am grateful that all of you have come here today, I'm going to ask each and every one of you over the next 7 months, please consider giving a little bit of your time, giving a little bit of your wallet, and help us make sure we translate these great starting point of our campaign to a great finishing point in our campaign. The the reality is, I simply cannot do this without you. I need each and every one of you to help me step up to make sure that we win this election and that we deliver the government that the people of Hawaii, that the American people truly deserve. And for that, friends, I want to just say from the bottom of my heart, mahalo.